Hi everyone. Welcome to another video cast of the Law and Disorder legal series. This one is going to be looking at employer and employee rights and responsibilities. Something that we know is dear to many people's hearts because unfortunately we run into a lot of problems in this area, and so we need to know what our rights and responsibilities are. This is the info sheet that we'll be referring to, so you might want to download that from the COCo website. So let's get started.
Yeah, and we'll basically be walking right through it, so you can follow along with us and catch the fuller written explanation as we're going through it. We'll be doing a general overview, so there's always extra information to find within the sheet. Okay. So Francis, I think one of the biggest issues that come up for community organizations is this idea of what is an employer and what is an employee? And there's a lot of confusion about, there's contract workers, there's permanent workers, there's independent contractors, and what's the difference between all that?
That's such a fundamental point, Sam, and it was really interesting for me as somebody who's worked in the community sector for a long time when you started pulling this work together, and I thought, we know what employers and employees are, let's move on to the details, and it is so fundamental. So just a really quick review. A nonprofit organization, the board of directors is the employer. And it's really important when we're sitting on a board that we remember that we have that legal obligation. We can, as a board, obviously mandate the executive director or coordinator to do parts of that responsibility. But we can't do, as certainly I've seen in enough organizations, this thing of, well, I don't want to deal with this, it's difficult, let the director deal with it, without having really clear lines of authority. And ultimately, the board of directors is as the legal entity of the organization, the employer, and has to make sure that those employer responsibilities are fulfilled. So that's a really good one when we're sitting on a board to remember that. We don't have to do it all, but we have to make sure that it's happening. The other neat one for me was thinking more about what's an employee. And I've seen a lot of interesting cases happening in community sector organizations, particularly over the last couple of years, where we're hiring people with all kinds of titles to it, but we're not necessarily following what's in the law. And so a lot of people are hiring what they call contract workers, which, according to the law, that's an employee. You need to follow the labor code, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But a lot of people are hiring what they call contract workers that are actually travailleurs autonomes, so independent workers, autonomous workers. And that's when we hire someone to do a job that really we're contracting, it's like almost another company, even though